Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us either in person or online. I hope the spring semester is starting off well for all of you, our students. Before we get to your questions, I want to give you just a few updates about the College of Charleston. Certainly, our men's basketball team is shining a spotlight on our campus. We're now ranked number 18 in the country by AP poll, first time in 20 some years. And with an 18-game winning streak, we are the winningest team in the country. I want to congratulate AD Matt Roberts, Coach Pat Kelsey and his staff, and the entire athletics department, and of course our student athletes for such a history-making season. This is an exciting time to be a Cougar fan. I encourage you to take a break from your studies and come out to a game. Your energy, as Coach Kelsey likes to say, is critical to our team playing its best. I'm also pleased to report that our on-court success is not the only place we're gathering momentum for the university. We're making great strides in our recruitment efforts as more and more prospective students and their families learn about the College of Charleston. As you may or may not know, we have been setting records for applications these past 3 years. And right now, we're on track to do it yet again. At this time, we have nearly 25,000 prospective students vying for our approximately 2,300 spots next fall. If your friends, former classmates from high school or relatives have already been accepted to the College of Charleston, please encourage them to send in their deposit as soon as possible in order to secure their space in the fall 2023 class. At the end of this month, our campus will celebrate our 253rd birthday, which culminates on Thursday, January 26th, our CFC Day. I encourage you to participate in this year's giving campaign if you can. The money raised goes towards scholarships, student emergency fund, student services, and our outstanding athletics program, to name a few. Every dollar makes a difference, and your participation at whatever level, $1, $2, $5, helps this institution deliver its academic mission. From my perspective, the College of Charleston is moving in the right direction. And what direction is that? Well, if you heard about our 10-year strategic plan called the Tradition and Transformation, our vision is to become a national university. That status is something more aligned to our strengths, our reach and reputation as a top school, not just in the region, but in the entire country. In December, the College of Charleston took an important step towards realizing that goal. To become a national university, we need to be categorized doctoral universities. Before last year, the state of South Carolina did not allow universities like Charleston to offer doctoral degrees. Now I'm proud to say that we are, as of December 2022, South Carolina redefined its higher education system. That means moving forward, the College of Charleston will be able to offer doctoral degree programs. So these are definitely exciting times on our campus, and I can't wait to hear your questions. With that, I will turn things over to Mike Robertson, Senior Director of Media Relations, to moderate today's town hall. Mike?
Thank you, President Hsu. I'm Mike Robertson, as he said, Senior Director of Media Relations, and I'll be moderating the Q&A portion off camera. Some brief instructions before we get started. For those of us joining online, you can submit your questions live using the Q&A feature on the top right of your screen. I'll read each selected question aloud, and the appropriate presenter or presenters will respond. Please keep your questions brief and to the point. Now, if we don't read your question live during today's event, our presenters will still try to answer you directly through the chat. For our attendees here in the Stern Center Ballroom, please go to that microphone right over there in the middle of the aisle and wait to be called on. Let's go ahead and get started. And we'll start with our first question, which was a pre-submitted one. I guess you can never talk too soon about graduation, so let's talk about graduation for a second. Have the times been set for commencement, which is May the 12th and the 13th, and are graduates limited to a certain number of tickets for guests?
Thank you, Mike. Suzanne Austin, Provost. So we are very excited that, as you just said, commencement is scheduled this year on Friday, May 12th and Saturday, May 13th. On Friday, the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, Languages and Cultures and World Affairs. Saturday morning, the School of Business, School of Education, and School of Health Sciences. And Saturday afternoon, the Graduate School, School of the Arts, School of Sciences, Mathematics and Engineering. We have a very robust commencement website, commencement.coc.edu. We're also excited that this will be our second commencement with an app designed especially for that. And let me see. The app is called Guidebook, and it's got all kinds of information. Each student will be given 4 tickets for their commencement ceremony.
All right, let's go ahead and get to some of the questions we've received. The first one is, my child has a lab every Friday at the Grice Marine Lab, and there's no CFC free transportation provided for them. What is the college providing the students in the form of transportation to get the students to make it to class on time and not have to be responsible for paying a fee for this transportation?
Another great question, and I am going to let Dean Sebastian Van Delden talk about the solution that they have come up with, because it's a really good one.
Thank you so much for the question. So we've experimented with several options to provide our students complimentary transportation to the Grice Marine Lab. We piloted a shuttle program, which was very well received about a year ago pre-COVID. And since then, due to the worker crisis across the country, I've been just simply unable to staff that service again. So instead, this semester, if you are a student in need of transportation services free to you to the Grice Marine Lab, simply contact the School of Sciences and Mathematics and Engineering's Dean's Office, and we will provide you the contact information for the Charleston Green Taxi Service, which we are partnering with to provide, again, complimentary transportation to you to the Grice Marine Lab if you don't have transportation. So just contact the Dean's Office, we'll get you that information.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go ahead and get to our next question. My daughter's roommate did not return for the spring semester. She was told by the RA that if she put any of her stuff in the unoccupied part of the room, she would be charged for using that space. It seems unfair to her to have to stare at a blank space when she is already sad that her roommate didn't return.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Megan Rome, the Director of Campus Housing. So I'm sorry that the information that she received is incorrect. We do want to make sure that students that have a vacant space in their room do keep that clear. We actually do still have students that are applying for housing for the spring semester, and we will also start our room change process next week. And so there is a chance that that space would be filled. Students would not be fined if they don't have a roommate, but certainly we're happy to answer any specific questions that someone has if they want to reach out to our office. We'll also make sure to follow up with the residence life staff to make sure that they have that correct information. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to one of our pre-received questions. It's about Family Fest. It says, holding Family Fest the weekend before spring break means double the travel time and expense for families, especially those of us from out of state. Would you ever consider separating the two events by more than 1 week?
I can take that question, Mike. Hi, I'm Alicia Goodell. I'm the Executive Vice President for Student Affairs. And it's a great question and something we can definitely take care of in the future. We try to put Family Fest, our family day, on a Saturday game day. And this semester, we didn't have a lot of Saturday games, and so this was the day that ended up working best for planning purposes for our student groups to help plan this day, but it's definitely something we'll look at for the future to create more space between spring break and when that event is held. And we hope you'll still come anyway this year because we'd love to see you on campus.
All right, another question I think may be directed toward you. As a parent, I want to make sure my student gets involved. Do you have any advice to get a shy student more engaged on campus?
Thanks for that question. This is Alicia again. So I think one thing to remember is there are lots of different kinds of students and everybody feels shy at some point in time. So one, normalizing that it's okay to feel a little bit hesitant about engaging in things. And the maybe first place I would look if a student's living on campus to have them connect with their RA for ways to meet somebody one-on-one, and the RA can help them meet other people on their floor. But also attending any of our week of welcome events or working out in the campus recreation center, looking for those connections, and then looking for a student organization. And we'll have an organization fair that you can come to and find one place to get connected, meeting other students by reaching out to those students. I think, you know, if those suggestions aren't working, have your student reach out to me or to anyone in student affairs, and we're happy to help them find somebody that shares an interest with them so we can make that connection. And there are a couple of students in here, I think, so if they have any suggestions, I'd love to hear their suggestions too. I don't think they have suggestions right now, but.
And you're always invited to come to the microphone and talk if you have any questions here in the studio. Let's go ahead and go to another question here. Who do I contact for help with an apartment or a resident room for next semester? My daughter is going to be a sophomore.
Excellent. Thank you so much for asking that question. The Office of Campus Housing would love to be able to assist you. We did send out some initial information. We'll be sending out more information for returning students about room selection, and we have updated our website. That's housing.cfc.edu. Returning students will be eligible to apply for campus housing February 1st through the 15th. And then students will be selecting space after that based on their earned credit hours as of December 22. So all returning students that are interested must apply between February 1st and the 15th. However, because room selection is based on credit hours that are earned, they don't have to be in the very first thing on February 1st at 9 a.m. when the application opens. I actually encourage people to wait a day or two since there's going to be a lot of traffic on the portal. There's certainly more information available on our website, but if you need specific information, please feel free to reach out to our office.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and go to our next question. I saw that the college hired a new chief diversity officer. I'm curious to hear from Dr. Howard about what she hopes to do in that role. And she is making her way to the microphone.
Well, thank you for that question. I appreciate it. Well, obviously, you learned that I'm new, so I started just in October. So in these past few months, I've been really working to get the office, just understand how the office currently is organized, some of the work of the office, how the staff functions together, and areas where we can be better collaborative within the office and within the campus. And so beyond that, starting this semester, really wanting to be more of a hub of information on diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts on our campus. Also working to convene different groups across campus and different offices to find out what they're doing and make sure we all know who's doing what, how we can better coordinate, how we can better collaborate, and look for opportunities to grow our work on our campus to make it a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive place for all.
Great, thank you very much. Let's go to one of our pre-submitted questions here. This concerns a new program here at the College of Charleston, and it's concerning an update. The question is, are there any updates on the college's engineering programs?
So I would like to have our Vice President for Innovation and Industry Engagement, Knut Floor, to answer that question. But let me just say a few words about Mr. Floor. About a year ago, he was still the president of BMW Manufacturing, and he failed retirement and became our Vice President for Innovation and Industry Engagement. So, Knut.
Thank you, President Hsu, for the introduction, and thank you for the question. Yeah, you, dear students and parents, you might ask yourself, why does a senior executive from the industry hangs around with the college? And the answer is pretty easy. We need engineers. So you always say, we need you. Why do we do this? So when you look into the news, and I keep it very short, you can see the United States made it back into the top states of competitive advantages in the Western world. So we came from a very low number. Now we are under the top 3. Europe is falling behind. So what we are going to see is a lot of industry coming back to the US. We have everything to support this. We have low tax, we have low energy cost compared to Europe, we have less regulations. So we have all the ingredients to be successful, and you will see a lot of industry coming back to the US. To serve this industry, we need engineers, but these are not the engineers you are used to know or heard about, this endless mathematics and endless fluid mechanics and endless. All of these typical elements today, they are built into software. So what do we need is real engineers that can design a factory, that can work in the virtual world, that can improve a process, make a new process, and bring the goods and the production back to the US. And this is why we said, let's do it. And why do we do it at a liberal arts college? Because in future, the engineers, they have to cover 2 areas. This is digital and virtual world. So whoever loves your smartphone, you love gaming, you love being in a virtual world, your path should be engineering, because we do everything in the virtual world in the future. And the second part is the liberal art college gives you a lot of advantage when it comes to emotional intelligence, intercultural intelligence, learn a language and get globally fluent. This is the future, and this is the engineering of the task. We started our way at the College of Charleston, we do it. And when you look at what is existing already, when you look at computer science, when you look at process, when you look at electric, when you look at software, this is engineering of the future. So I can just ask you, have a look, maybe if you're interested, buy into these programs. The future is very, very bright, but you have to be somehow addicted to the virtual world. And one thing is guaranteed, the industry is in, and I bridge the piece to the industry. They want the students, they want the future workforce, and they are willing to pay for this. And if you buy into this program, just to give you a little bit of hint, a young engineer leaving the college, the industry pays around $80,000 to $120,000. So that's an amazing opportunity. Thank you for the question, and yes, come on, buy into the program. You want to add into this? Here comes the dean. He really knows what's going on right now.
Thank you, Knut. And just really quick, if I could add, if you did want to study engineering at the College of Charleston, we offer systems engineering, electrical engineering with a focus on autonomous electric vehicles, and software engineering. But last night, maybe the most exciting news is that our faculty senate approved a minor in digital manufacturing technology. This is a low entry point program that can be coupled with any major at the College of Charleston. If you are a psychology major but want to work for a high-tech manufacturing company in the HR department, you could complement your major with this minor to give you that competitive edge, whether you're a business student, whatever your major may be. So I definitely encourage you, if you're a current student and you're a sophomore, you definitely have enough time to complete that brand new minor that was just approved last night.
All right, thank you for the update. Let's go ahead and get some more questions here. Let me paraphrase this one. Are there any programs to help freshmen get to know one another? We were talking earlier about a shy freshman, but I think they're talking in general. They're talking about hall mixers, events, freshman-only events, things like that.
Sure, thanks, Mike. I'll start with some things that are happening broadly on campus, and then I know Melantha Ardrey, our Director of Residence Life, is also joining us, and so she'll have some specific comments about the residence halls. But certainly, first year students that come in. These could be new students to college or transfer students coming in from somewhere else, or even students that started in the fall last year that are still working to find their way. The fall is only 4 months long, and so sometimes every semester gives a chance for a transition and finding new ways to connect. But there are lots of things happening in the spring semester. We started last week with the first week of classes, our series of about 6 weeks of programming for Weeks of Welcome. So those are all different kinds of events, from low-key engagement with therapy dogs to larger campus events and gatherings. Our programming board does a lot of really fun activities in the evenings and on weekends. But we also have opportunities to gather through intramural sports, through club sports. There's all different kinds of things. And Cougar Connect is our platform that includes all that information and activities. So if you're not familiar, you can find Cougar Connect by going to the website and typing in Cougar Connect. So that's where you can see all the things that are happening. And Melantha, I'll ask you to talk a little bit specifically about what's happening in the residence halls.
Hi, everyone. This is Melantha. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, everyone. So thank you so much for that question. We actually had a program last night in all of our residence halls that was a welcome back event. And it was very well attended in all of our halls. And we are doing hall specific programs. So RAs are planning different events throughout the semester. Several of them are participating with students in the Weeks of Welcome programming that Alicia just mentioned, as well as taking students to the basketball game, which has been very exciting this year. But if your student has ideas or questions about what's happening, our residence hall directors in each building are happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add one thing. So for students who are enrolled this semester in the first year experience courses, there are also different types of activities and engagement events that are affiliated with those courses, and those are going on this semester as well.
All right. We do have a follow-up to the Family Fest question we had earlier. This is a more general. Where can I get information about Family Fest?
So there's some information online about that. We should also be posting information on the family portal. And if you're not finding that, if you'll get a note, we'll be sharing the email address for these town halls, I know. So if you'll send a note to that, they'll get it to me and we'll get you all the information that you need.
And if you go to the post, you can see that we have posted the email, or I'm sorry, the link to Family Fest 2 chat. Let's go to one of our pre-submitted questions. This has to do with study abroad. The question is study abroad still continuing?
Great news. Study abroad is back. The numbers are growing quickly. There's so much pent-up demand on the part of students to engage in study abroad programs. So last spring we had excellent engagement with study abroad. We have a number of programs that are going to be running over spring break, and then we anticipate another really big summer of study abroad programs. So my advice would be for any student, the sooner you start to think about when you're going to do study abroad, the easier it will be to work it into your schedule. But we always encourage all of our students, if they possibly can, to engage in a study abroad program.
Okay, let's go to another question from our chat. It says, hello, our son lives in College Lodge. The conditions are less than desirable and they have palmetto bugs. And the room was dirty until our son's roommate cleaned the room upon occupancy. Further, air conditioning nor heat are working. We've had some plumbing issues as well. Has there been thought of a room and board reduction for occupants?
Hi, my name is John Morris, Vice President for Facilities Management. I can speak at least on the conditions of the space. So if you've got issues with pests, palmetto bugs, or your HVAC plumbing, make sure you submit a work order to those. If you feel that you're not getting the response that you need, you can reach out to me and I'll follow up with my team and we'll get you an answer as what the status of the problem is. As far as reduced rates, I know you can reach out to housing. They can talk to you about what the tiered rates are for the residence halls. And if there's any other options available, they can help guide you through the process.
Thank you very much. Let's go to another question here. The question is, can fall break be earlier or like last year in October instead of 2 weeks before they come home for Thanksgiving break, as it was this year? We're out of state and it's quite expensive.
That's a great question. So actually this coming year, fall break will be earlier. Fall break ends up later each even election year based on the state's requirement that we be closed on election day. So we matched fall break around that. So this coming year, it will be earlier. And then certainly we have a committee that always looks at the academic calendar and looks at all of those things. I see the chair of that committee in our audience here. And so we can certainly look at that for future years as well, and how we can best make that calendar work.
And in fall 2023, the fall break is October the 16th and the 17th. Let's go to another pre-submitted question here. And the question has to do with housing again. Can you go over the process and the timeline for on-campus housing selection for returning students?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And maybe if you don't mind dropping the link into the chat, that's housing.cfc.edu, and it's the apply for housing page. So housing will open up for returning students starting on February 1st. All returning students that are interested in housing need to apply between February 1st and the 15th. There is lots more information about things like how to form roommate groups and questions to frequently asked questions on there. If there's any other questions that are not answered on our website, please feel free to give us a call or stop by our office so we can assist you.
Don't go anywhere. One more question for you. Can you give us an update on the new and renovated dorm situations? Will we have more on-campus housing?
Sure. So currently McAllister Hall is under renovation and it is on track to be finished in August. So we're very excited about reopening that building, and that obviously will come with it extra beds on campus. And so again, the process has changed from last year. So students that may have participated in the process last year, it does look different for returning students this year. We are returning to a model similar to what we had before last year. So again, more information on our website, and if there's specific questions, please feel free to reach out.
And like I said, if you go to the chat, you can see links to those locations that should help you out. Let's go to another pre-submitted question. In previous semesters, professors had offered the option of Zoom if we are sick or out of town. Can we have the option of Zoom for classes again?
Great question. And certainly, as you referenced, during the pandemic, everything was on Zoom for a while. And then as we were still in pandemic mode, but back on campus, we were being very, very flexible about making Zoom attendance an option for students. The faculty has been working very hard now that we're in the post-pandemic period to get back into the classroom and to re-engage our students face-to-face. I would say that if a student is ill or if there's some specific issue, that they should talk to the faculty member about how to handle that. But at this point, it's really up to the individual faculty members to figure out what's the best accommodation, depending on the kind of class that they're teaching.
Okay, one more academic question that was pre-submitted. If my student's major advisor is not answering emails, what should they do?
Another great question. So if a student is having trouble getting in contact with a faculty member or a faculty advisor, the best thing to do is to reach out to the department chair. And they should be able to help resolve whatever the issue is or answer the question.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and, we have a question from the audience. Go right ahead.
So I'm a freshman and I was just wondering on the topic of like student involvement and for club sports, because I'm on the club soccer team, and I was just wondering if there's like any funding or anything going towards those clubs, because I know the gym is being renovated and there's fields off campus, but it's kind of difficult to organize rides and do activities for that. So I was just wondering if there was any improvements or upkeep on the fields that are being planned for the semester.
That is a great question. Thank you for that. And I'm so excited that you're engaged in that in your first year here. So that's a good example of how to get connected. So, so the club sports teams do receive some student activity fee allocations. There's a process in the spring that we work through with captains of those teams to request that funding. So the groups get some funding from the college, and then certainly, as you know, students also often participate in some funding of those organizations. And I think, so looking at fields, we're consistently looking at options for fields. As you know, it's a challenge for us where we are on the peninsula and getting to places that are available, but we're always looking for different options. So I would encourage you to reach out. Bucky Buchanan is our director of campus rec. He's just been promoted into that position. So if you haven't met him, it'd be great to introduce yourself to him, because he's working on all of those efforts. And sometimes students give us our best ideas, because you often know where resources are available that we can look into. So have a conversation with him, or have your captain have a conversation about some of those specific needs. And that would go for any club sport activity. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I think we may have one more question here. Have you improved the food quality?
Hey, I'm Ashley Parr. I'm Director of Campus Services. So please reach out to the registered dietitian at Airmark. Her name is Reagan Henry, or you can write to Campus Services HQ. I'd like to learn more about what you're experiencing in the dining halls. We have many different dining halls, many different options that you can use your meal plan. We've got food service vendors that come onto the campus that we've contracted with. We've had food trucks just the other day outside the CERN Center. So we are doing many different things, surprise and delights, popcorn, movies in the center that we're bringing in specialty chefs. So I'd really like to know where they might be experiencing these things, and if we can link your daughter up with a registered dietitian to help them out. Thank you.
Thank you. One more question here. If our student's academic advisor is very limited with their availability for appointments, are they required prior to registration? Is there an alternative process available, as this greatly affects their ability to register?
If it's a first-year student, they should have access to a professional advisor. And if there are any issues, they can contact the provost's office, because all of that sits in our unit. But if the student is beyond first year right now, and they have declared a major, then if they're having issues getting in touch with or scheduling an appointment with a faculty advisor, as I said before, they need to reach out to the department chair, and the department chair should be able to resolve the issue.
All right, thank you. That concludes the Q&A portion of today's event. If we didn't get to your question today, you are welcome to send it email, and that email address is townhall@cofc.edu, and someone will get back in touch with you. Before I send it back to President Hsu for some closing remarks, I want to mention a few upcoming campus events that you may be interested in. First one, February 24th. The School of Business Investment Program will hold a 9th annual Strategic Investment Symposium. This one-day program hosts top speakers and industry professionals on the topic of strategic investment management. You can find out more information at investment.cofc.edu. On March the 24th, the college will hold a Food Security Summit in Rita 101, featuring guest speakers and panel discussion on topics related to global hunger. The event is being organized by LCWA, the HSS, and the Provost's Office in partnership with Moreau's Institute. On April the 12th at 3 o'clock, President Hsu and senior administration officials will be holding a strategic plan update forum here in the Stern Ballroom. You can also see it online. The updates will focus on the strategic plan's cross-cutting themes of diversity, quality and inclusiveness, and also strategic partnership and innovation. And the day after, on April 13th at 10 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Expo 2023 will take place in TD Arena. This annual event showcases the research, the scholarship, and other extraordinary works of our undergraduate and graduate students carried out with the mentorship of our faculty. For more information, you can go to the Academic Affairs website and they can tell you more about it. And finally, I want to thank our presenters for their time and expertise today, and a special thank you to the staff and student workers from the Division of Information Technology who helped to produce these events. Now, I turn it back to President Hsu for some closing remarks. President Hsu.
Thank you, Mike. Before we break, I want to thank you again for being here and taking such interest in the life of our campus. I want to thank especially the parents who are online, and I also want to give a special thanks to the students who actually came here and joined us in person. There are so many positive things happening right now, and our collective momentum is only increasing. So thank you, and have a great rest of your evening, and have a great spring semester. Go Cougars!